the Federation, that's what we are talking about today, which took place in 1953 to 1963. So it was a period of 10 years. Okay, so during this period, Northern Rhodesia, Southern Rhodesia, and Nyasaland were combined to make one big state. So there are reasons why there was a federation which took place. So the reasons was that the federation will enable the Central African region to prosper and develop faster than was possible in three territories as separate. Another thing was that the federation would attract foreign investment to promote industrialization. They wanted to establish industries, so thereby when investors hear that there is a combined state with more minerals in northern Rhodesia, southern Rhodesia, and Nyasaland, investors were going to come and they were going to invest. So the settlers' motive for creating a federation was to create a large and more diversified national economy. Such economy could be dependent and could compete with South Africa, which was rapidly growing by that period. Okay, so there were some also political reasons why there was a federation. The federation was meant to foster settler domination and supremacy over Africans. So it was just only to show that the whites were more superior than the blacks. That's why they combined these states. Okay, so the federation was established because of the need to preserve white rule in the Central Africa, as they feared that Africans might revolt against the whites in Central Africa. Africans had already started forming trade unions and political parties, so a federation will help the British to control those Africans and monitor their movement. That's why they created the federation. The federation would also enable the Africans and the Europeans to work in a partnership in which the Europeans would be the senior partners, the blacks would be the horses in a partnership. Okay? Africans, according to Walensky, can never hope to dominate the partnership. Okay? So let's look at the achievements of the federation. Did the federation achieved, or was it a failure? There was rapid industrial growth during the federal decade 1953 to 1963, especially in Salisbury. So Salisbury is Harare. Thus, there was employment creation largely in Salisbury. So the creation of employment on its own can be seen as an achievement of the federation. There were improvements in transport. For example, a railway line was constructed which linked Bulawayo with Maputo, which is in Mozambique. Okay, so there was also improvements in the education system during the federal period. For instance, the University of Rhodesia in Nyasaland was established in Salisbury in 1957. So creation of university, creation of employment, creation of the railway line which linked Bulawayo and Maputo. Okay, so there was construction of dams, lakes in the federation. For instance, Lake Kayo Mutiriku was built in 1960. Okay, so hydroelectric power plants were also built. We also witnessed that at Kariba there was establishment of a hydroelectric power station, and we also see that in Hwange there was establishment of the thermal power station. These are the works of the federation, so it achieved. Okay, Hwange thermal power station was built in Salisbury to boost power supply. So health facilities were also improved. A number of large, well-equipped hospitals were built in big centers like Salisbury. Okay, so foreign investment was attracted, resulting in the growth of Salisbury as the capital city of the federation. So Salisbury was regarded, Harare here in Zimbabwe was regarded as the capital city of the northern Rhodesia in Nyasaland. Okay, so another achievement was that there was increased production in mining. of gold, copper, and asbestos. So, okay, so there was also an employment creation for both Africans and whites. So I've talked about this and I've given many points on the federation. So let's look at the reasons why the federation collapsed. Okay, so the Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland collapsed in 1963 because there was unequal development, okay, in three territories, with southern Rhodesia being more developed than other countries like northern Rhodesia and Nyasaland. So southern Rhodesia was the only country which was developing more than others. For example, here in southern Rhodesia, there was establishment of the University of Zimbabwe, Kariba Dam. There was also the capital city, where in all which was regarded the capital city of all the three countries, northern, southern Rhodesia, and Nyasaland. So this unequal development or unequal treatment led to the collapse of the federation. Opposition from African nationalists led to the collapse of the federation. These African nationalists included Kamuzu Banda and Yeri Nkumbula. Yeri Nkumbula of the ANC in Zambia. Once declared, "We know that our brothers in the south are slaves." So Yeri Nkumbula, we see that Yeri Nkumbula, Kamuzu Banda, they were these nationalists who spearheaded or led to the collapse of the federation. What did they do? It is said that Yeri Nkumbula once declared, Yeri Nkumbula, who was the leader of the ANC in Zambia, once declared that we know that our brothers in the south are slaves. Okay, so this led to the collapse of the federation, because many people now, they were enlightened and they had to raise their voices and say no, enough to the federation. Okay, so failure of the policy of partnership led to the collapse of the federation. Africans were greatly concerned about the Huggins exploitations of the whites. So Africans, they knew that they were being exploited. So this their partnership could not work. Trade unions and workers organizations in the northern Rhodesia, southern Rhodesia, and Nyasaland opposed the federation. Trade unions staged strikes, demonstrations, and petitions to show their dislikes in the federation. Thus, this led to the collapse of the federation. So that's all, guys, on the federation of Nyasaland and Rhodesia.